Welcome to Eyes Open. It's March 4th, 2020. And Julie and I have been talking about doing this episode on 3 or 4 different random things that have come to mind. Well, they're not random. They have purpose. I want to start, Julie, by just saying, we've received some emails. Some people like the podcast. Some people hate them, and that's great, right? It's to be expected.
Right. Yeah.
One
Fine with
comment,
me.
one comment we received recently was that some podcasts are great, but the last few have been dark here on Eyes Open. And I've been thinking about that. This morning I went out on the internet and I found a quote. I've heard it before. I think most of us have heard it. It's in effect, it says, evil triumphs when good men do nothing. And to me, that's the essence of what we're trying to do on Eyes Open. Yes, we're touching on dark topics. It's not because we have an interest in those topics, I'm guessing, right, Julia?
No, I just want to expose the darkness.
Expose them. And in exposing darkness, we bring light. Am I right? I mean, what are your thoughts there?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, you expose the darkness and then you reveal truth and light. And, some of these topics are not pleasant to hear about, right? But it's my mission. It's why I came to the planet, to help expose the darkness and help people clear energy on the darkness that's on this planet so that they can have a higher vibration.
Right.
So,
and a
sorry
higher...
if some people don't like it. It's not going to stop me.
Well, good. Yeah. And what do you actually see going on as we expose darkness with regard to light? What's happening with light as we expose darkness?
Well, so darkness recedes or repels, and light exceeds or expands. And when you expose the darkness, the light shines upon the darkness and it actually closes it in and makes it retract. Mm-hmm. And so when you're talking about portals or anything like that, portals can open just with a thought energy or a word. And so when I use certain verbiage or other people do, that can actually create portals of some sort, either light or dark or varying degrees. And so people need to be aware that thought energy is real. The collective energy of the universe makes an impact on how much light or darkness is around them and within their system. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that answers the question, but from a scientific standpoint, the metaphysics and the quantum physics is fascinating to me.
Well, I like the explanation, actually. I just want people to know it's not like we're obsessed with dark things, but no. I'll tell you what, Julie, it really feels good to me when you expose something dark. And after some of the last episodes, I felt light come in, and I felt heaven's smile saying, "Good, expose more of this." And there's this metaphor I found a couple years ago that to me fits. And it's a medical procedure called debridement, which I find fascinating. Mm-hmm. And debridement is a process of taking a wound and actually enlarging it so that you can cleanse it, clean it, smooth out the edges, do whatever you need to do, and then bring it together and it can heal properly once and for all. Sometimes in our lives we need to enlarge the wound in order for it to heal properly.
Right.
And
need to clean it.
Clean it out.
Clean the wound.
Yeah,
when you get a burn, right? You get a burn and it's a second or third degree burn, especially third degree, they will actually pull the skin off that's been burned and they'll scrub it, and it's very painful, and then you're left with raw skin. But that's the only way you can get that new skin to grow and heal and then graft to the new skin.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Right.
And so if our listeners and people out there are aware of dark things happening and they do nothing, as the quote I said earlier,
right,
it's just like a festering wound, and it's just really never going to heal.
It's not going to go away. You can't just ignore it. Mm-hmm. Some people have this theory, ignore the entities, ignore this, ignore that. I can tell you, in the body that I have and the gifts that I have, I'm in a multi-dimensional situation here. There is no ignoring it for me. I block it out and I use these techniques and shielding techniques. But those that are more shielded than I am, as far as having a veil, maybe they can ignore it more than I can. But I cannot. And when when I am constantly dealing with this bombardment, which we all are. People just don't recognize a lot of the time what they're feeling, why they have a certain emotion, or why they have a certain body pain, or why they have certain mental illness, or any of that. And it's all dark energy. And until you clear that dark energy, you will not heal.
Right.
That's just how it is. You can take meds all day long. You can uh, you can listen to music, all that kind of stuff that can raise your vibration. The meds don't raise the vibration; they just cover the wound, right? They just cover the symptom, make the symptoms go away.
Right.
But there's a reason we have symptoms. It's our body telling us that we're not healthy and we need to clear some energy.
Yeah, good. Which is why, a good segue into my next point, which is why I assume you've chosen the profession you have of energy work. For those of your listeners who don't know very much about energy work, my understanding is what you're doing, Julie, is exposing darkness in people, in situations, and then bringing light and trying to help them heal. Can you tell us a little bit about energy work and some of the events coming up in your...
Right. And while we say exposing darkness in people, we're not talking about them being evil people. I'm talking about illness and sickness of any kind of trauma energy, addiction energy, abuse energy, depression energy, anxiety energy, any kind of negative emotion energy, any kind of energy weapon where you might have some kind of a physical pain. And this is generational. It's stuff that people get from past lives. It's stuff they get from spirit realm before they come, because you have a spirit before you have a body. And it's stuff that you trap while you're in this life, while you're in this probation. And we all have it because we are in a lower dimension world where there is darkness surrounding us everywhere we go, and multi-dimensions of lower realms even lower than this that have access to us on this earth through portals and things. And so I learned about it in 2004 when I had my first near-death experience. I was on the other side of the veil, and I saw what was going on earth, and I saw what was going on in spirit realm related to this work. I saw the light side and the dark side. The light side is healing and it expands the light. The dark side is the equivalent of witchcraft. So some people think energy work is witchcraft, and they lump it all in as witchcraft. And I can tell you right now, there's opposition in all things. You have the light version and the dark version of everything on this planet. The light version is the true power. The dark version is a power, but they manipulate the energy and they create darkness and they make you more sick. And they do curses and dark arts and things like that. What I do is expose those dark arts and help people heal from the curse energy or anything else that they're dealing with, that they've been plagued with. And that includes things like plagues, coronavirus, and other things like that.
So it's not just physical
problems.
It's not just spiritual symptoms like darkness, sin, and that kind of thing. It's more, it can be physical. Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Physical.
Yeah.
Yes, my clients come to me if they have addiction energy, we work through that. If they have a mental illness, we work through that. If they have marriage issues, we work through that. Any kind of emotional trauma, and then we work through the physical pains. If they're having a pain in their knee or a pain in their back or their shoulder, or they've got breast cancer, or they had a kidney removed, or they had uterine problems, or they had stillborn babies, or they're having trouble getting pregnant, I've worked with all of it. I've had satanic ritual victims. I've had rape victims and people that have had abortions, the whole gamut. Okay, because it's all difficult for our bodies to process and causes us pain in some form or fashion. And so we're releasing the pain so that you can get to a higher vibration and heal your body.
I've heard that.
But you're not just healing your physical body, you're healing your cosmic body, your spirit body, your mental body. It's all part of your energy system.
I see.
So.
I've heard that all things are created spiritually before physically, before they manifest physically. So does that apply to energy work?
Yes. In fact, when I started energy work about 6 years ago, I would see these energy weapons that were in spirit realm that were implanted in people's bodies, and they were not yet on the planet, certain technologies and other things, little robots and stuff like that. I now see some of them on the internet of actual devices that are now being created on the earth. Before that, I would just see them in my mind's eye, years ago, and I'd be like, what is that? And going back even before I did energy work, I could see these weapons. I didn't have a context for it. I just knew they were in spirit realm, and I could see these things, and I'm like, what in the world's going on, So energy weapons are a real thing. Spiritual warfare goes on around us every day. And if people could have their third eye open, and they could open and see what was going on in these other dimensions, they would know I'm speaking the truth. But
Mm-hmm.
we are veiled from it, most of us, and I'm still veiled from a lot of it. I don't see everything,
Right.
So,
Right.
but we feel it. We feel it a lot of the time.
You have deep perspectives on energy. I've known that about you for years now. And the things you see, and I've learned that your spectrum of understanding of things that go on in the world is deeper than is broader than most. And I appreciate that. And I know that there are many who are probably wondering who you are still. And you wrote about your near-death experience and your experience on both sides of the veil and the things you learned there in your book, New Revolution. Is there anything you'd like to say about
Yes.
that book?
New Revolution. So that is available on Amazon, and it is about my 2004 near-death experience, where I had a tour of heaven, some of the lowest realms and the highest realms. Um, I write about the higher realms. I do not really go into any of the lower realms. I want to focus on the light, let people know that although we have difficult days we're going through now and some harder days that we're going to go through, we have a greater tomorrow. We have good things coming to this earth. And so it's a book that helps to hopefully warn people and encourage them and give them a coping strategy for what's coming, and what I call what is in the scriptures as the days of tribulation. So this is not a doomsday book like some of the media and things want to call
Uh-huh.
it. This is actually a book of hope and a book of warning for people, and let them know that we are preparing for Christ to come back to the earth. And here are some of the things that I saw in vision during my near death experience, and for years after that, every day, and that I still see coming to this planet. And so when I was 31, I'm 47 now. When I was 31, I was very, very sick. I ended up later being diagnosed with Epstein-Barr and Lyme disease. The Epstein-Barr attacked my liver and went systemic. And the Lyme disease went systemic as well and attacked my brain. I ended up in the hospital for 5 days and was in spirit realm. My spirit left my body for 2.5 days. So I had 2.5 days on the other side of the veil. Anybody that knows anything about near-death experiences knows that is astounding, because most people don't remember what they experience if they're gone that long in a coma state. Some people might go for 5 minutes, 2 minutes. And it's been said that you can learn more in 5 minutes in heaven than you can a lifetime on earth. And I
Uh-huh.
will actually testify to that. I learned a great deal. I was reminded of my premortal life, the creation of the earth, other planets. Um, I had access to my Akashic records. I actually went into the portals of my Akashic records, which is the book of life and my past lives. And then I had a tour of heaven and the heavenly realms, and what you call the book of life and the window of heaven. I went into the window of heaven. So I talk about that. And so people can learn some of what that is. I think there are a lot of people that are curious, like they don't know where they came from, and they don't know what they're doing here. They don't know where they're going. And so I touch on some of that. And then I talk about some things in history that I saw, that I was shown, some of the true records instead of the false histories that have been told on the earth. And then I talk about the things they showed me in the future, because I have the gift of seeing past, present, and future. One of the things that happened when I came back from my body was that instead, when I was a little girl, I had dreams and visions and I could see the future on things. After I had my NDE, my veil opened up, my third eye opened up, and one of the gifts I now have is to look in past, present, future, because time and space overlap is different in the eternities. And once that happened to me, my whole system changed. So.
Well, there it is. I want to encourage people to go check out New Revolution. It's a great book. It is a very uplifting and inspiring book, and your experiences are real. Julie, I've known you for a while. I've known about your gifts. In fact, and I want to witness the authenticity of Julie's gifts. I've seen them in action many times. Sometimes sometimes Julie has, I'm laughing because I think Julie's knows what I'm thinking here, but there have been times Julie has in a very non-intrusive way let me know. She knows exactly what I'm thinking. She knows things that I've done in my life. She's
And we're still friends. No.
and yeah, well, but I
I don't
appreciate.
generally tell those things. I don't tell people I'm telepathic, or they don't want to know me because
Well,
they're afraid I can read their thoughts. I'm
well,
like, actually, yes, I can.
I have to say I know that you don't do it maliciously, and I've
No.
seen you many times. You try to avoid it when possible, and
Yeah, I actually purposely will block it out.
right.
Yeah, unless I need to know if I'm trying to discern someone's thoughts, if I discern malintent,
Right.
or if or with a client, it will help me work on them or something.
Well, I think you wield your gifts well and benevolently, so I'm grateful for that. But
Thank you.
and I do know they're real. Julie, you do have unique gifts, but I know that there are many on the earth that have gifts and
Yes.
who have been silenced and who have not found a place or a role in society. In fact, if anything, media and other groups put down those with gifts and write it off as something crazy or unusual or
Right.
demonic or whatever. And so I know that you have a project going on and would like to ask you to just tell us what you can about those who are spiritually gifted.
Okay. Well, I have a couple different projects going on. I'm not going to tell you guys, what the projects are, but this is what I'm asking for. I would like you to email me if you're interested in me hearing your story, or Eric. The only people that have access to this email are Eric and I. So you need to know that Eric will be reading these potentially, and I will, but we won't let anybody else have them. My email address is a greater tomorrow 2014 at Gmail, agreater 2014 at gmail.com. So you need to send your emails there. What I am looking for are people that have spiritual gifts that they would like to share. We with me initially, and then if I feel like I need to talk to you to have you participate in the project, then I will call you and we will have a conversation, and I will tell you what the project is and ask if you would like to participate. So, and I'm specifically looking for people with the gifts of dreams, night vision, day vision of any kind, even deja vus. If you can see angels, if you can see demons, if you can see unclean spirits of people that have had bodies that are living on the earth, because those are a bit different, they're different than demons. If you have the gift of smelling the spirit world, if there's anything like that you experience, because we all have spiritual gifts, but these are the ones I'm specifically looking for, then please email me and share those with me. Let me know some of your experiences. Even if it was a one-time thing, even if just once your grandma came to you and you knew you could feel her presence, you didn't necessarily have to see her. You could just feel her next to you, maybe at the funeral or something. If you've lost a child and that child has come to visit you or something like that, there are millions of people on this planet that experience this every day. And what I want to do is gather evidence and gather records that I am not the only crazy person, right? That there are millions of people experiencing this in a metaphysical experience, right? And that we are not just in a third or fifth dimension environment here. There are multi dimensions within the space that we live in.
Okay.
So that's the first one.
And so this is you're throwing this net out there really wide. Do you have any suggestions on when they email you? Keep them concise or
keep them short. I want them keep them within a page. Keep them within a page.
Okay.
And here's why. Because if you share just one experience with me, all you need to say to me really is, I experienced X, Y, and Z. You don't need to go into detail on it yet. This is a filtering device. And so if I am prompted by the Lord or my angels to contact you, that will be enough information. I will recognize your name. I will recognize your energy. With my gifts, I will be able to see you. And spirit will tell me more about your story. So you don't need to go into all the details. Right. I don't want to hear all of the details about your demonic experiences, okay? I don't want that negative stuff. You can just simply say, yes, I have this gift. I'm interested in talking to you.
Yeah, great.
That's pretty much it. I don't want the whole story.
Okay. And also, if you know of other people who may not be watching this podcast who have those experiences, invite them to participate as well. They don't have to be religious. They don't have to be latter-day prepper type people, just people with gifts and experiences.
Anybody. Anybody. And I can tell you this, I immediately know when someone works with the dark side. I immediately know when someone's a witch or a warlord or a wizard or anything in the dark arts. So if you are one of those individuals listening to this, I know who you are. I know who you are. And I can see you. And so just that's a caution to those that think they want to send me curse energy or attach to me or do something else to try to fool me. I may still call you because I'm good.
Okay. All right.
And also, I can tell where people are on the planet too. Okay. And so if you're using a fake name or you're using a fake picture or profile, just know I can tell that too. Yep. I say that because I get thousands of emails and I know the adversary and I don't want trolls. The other thing I'm going to say is we're going to introduce a couple other things for some other projects. And this applies to everything. If you try to troll me, if you try to threaten me, if you send anything negative to me to harass me or Eric or anybody else related to this project, I will report you to authorities, meaning the FBI, the police, and my security team. I have lots of security that I work with, and I report all of that to security. Okay, my head of security filters it out, and then it goes out to my team. I have had bodyguards since 2014 for a reason, and I have been contacted by the Cabal and the Illuminati and the whole deal since 2015. I am not messing around, and I say this seriously. I don't want that. Don't email me and say I'm a pawn of the devil. I've had enough of those. If you're going to do that, you're getting reported, and I'm not going to mess with it. So don't even bother.
All right.
Okay, the next one that we're going to do.
We're doing 3, so that's part 1.
Yeah. So Chad Daybell. Anybody that has ever met Chad, talked to Chad, read Chad's books, or had any kind of interaction, listened to him speak at Preparing a People or a small group gathering, any of that. This is a separate project. If you are interested in sharing your experience with Chad Daybell, either positive or negative, because we've got both, I would be interested, again, to give you a voice, and also because I'm working on another project with a group where we are trying to identify what has really gone on related to Chad and Lori Daybell, and to expose the darkness there and to reveal the light there so that people can have more truth to understand what's really going on. Because there's all this cult talk and everything. They're lumping me into it, and we want to know what was really going on, because I live in Kansas, he lives in Idaho. I knew nothing of a cult. There's all these accusations, but I don't agree with what Chad's done and some of the things I have learned in the last few months. And so I want to get truth out there, and I want to expose whatever darkness is there. And the only way we can really do that is to have more of you guys speak up. And anonymity is given to everyone. So I want you to email me with your real name. You're going to have to trust me that it won't go anywhere. Again, same thing. If you are interested in participating in this project and you email me and share it, now we may just use your email and block out your name, okay, and use that as evidence, or I may call you. So everybody, when you send these emails for any purpose of any project we're doing, immediately on that first email, send your phone number. Okay, I need your phone number. I don't want to chase you down. If you don't send a phone number, then I can't call you. I don't have time to email thousands of people. So include your phone number. And then if I need to call you, I will call you. You can expect a phone call from me. So anybody that has had an interaction. And then same thing, if I'm supposed to call you, I'll call you, and I'll let you know what the project is, and I'll give you an opportunity to participate at that point in time, either to submit your email, again, without your name, or if you want your name out there, we'll have that option, or to interview in person or over the phone, just with audio, things like that.
Okay. Julie, I'm going to let you get a chance to catch your breath for a minute here.
Thank you.
Okay. The third part of this, these are 3 different projects, is in line with what we discussed in our last podcast about religious abuse. And And we're asking people to come forward who have been recipients of any kind of abuse in a spiritual or religious way. Julie, tell us more about that and what you're looking for in this project.
Right. Well, we did the initial podcast on spiritual abuse. That was just to lay a quick foundation and for Eric and I to clear energy on some of ours. We've had some people say negative responses, mostly positive negative responses, which is, to be expected. Um, and some people say, where are you getting this? And I can tell you that everything I shared was personal firsthand accounts of things I experienced. When I talk about athletes at BYU, those were guys I dated or their roommates. Okay. So I wasn't making it up. The other thing is we want things coming from first person experiences. Again, if you want to have anonymity and not be exposed because of fear of retribution or whatever, we understand that. We'll protect you. And we want you also, the other reason I'm doing this is to help you clear energy if you have been subjected to this abuse. Just by writing the email and exposing it and having the courage to do that is going to clear you out of some of this abuse energy and this fear energy. Because what happens with abuse of any kind is this fear energy and this shame energy and this guilt energy that gets trapped. And it's a very unhealthy cycle.
Okay, Julie, tell us about what kinds of abuse. Are we looking for a particular religion?
Yes, not any religion, every religion, any religion that's ever been on the planet or is on the planet, even if you weren't raised in the religion, but you have a family history of that religion, even going back 5 generations, because this stuff gets passed down generationally. So maybe you never went to the Catholic Church, but 5 generations ago, your parents were Catholic. Or maybe you do family history and you know that you had ancestors that were, subjected to the Inquisition. That energy is passed down on the family line, and there is shame energy and abuse energy that has trapped in your system a lot of the time. So whatever religion you are, whether you affiliate with that religion now or not, also family cultures where maybe somebody didn't actually go to church, but they had a family culture where they were shamed or guilted, or they have conflict energy because they were taught something that didn't sit right with them or didn't make them feel good, and they are struggling not to accept that false belief or that false teaching or that shame energy or the guilt energy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Also, of course, satanic ritual, because I deal with a lot of clients that suffer from satanic ritual abuse. And so I know there are millions of people on this planet that have been subjected to satanic ritual all over the planet, not just in the United States.
Okay, so to sum up this third one, looking for religious abuse really of any kind, any religion, yes. Any history, however it fits. And again, yes. Keeping in mind this quote I started on, that evil triumphs when we're silent. And yes. if we are vocal and speak forward and speak up and let your voice be heard, and if you don't want to do that yourself, let Julie and I be your voice. And
right.
we will expose darkness and bring light. And I know what Julie's saying about like clearing energy will help. If I think what I've seen, Julie, is this law of attraction, some people call it. I think you were talking about generational things in our past, abuse and things in churches or wherever come down, and they follow us, and which almost acts like a magnet in our lives to the same sort of abuse and patterns. Is that true?
Yeah. Yes, abuse patterns follow, and the energy follows you. So if you've had some people, this is their first life on earth. Other people have been here a couple times. Some people have been here several times. And that abuse energy can follow you into new lives. And sometimes the same people that abused you in the last life, like maybe you were married to a guy last time and he abused you, then you guys find each other in the next life and he abuses you again, right? Or parents or church leaders. What I see, for instance, with like in the time of Christ, a lot of the same Pharisees and Sadducees that lived in the time of Christ that were responsible for essentially excommunicating him and having him hung and crucified are now on the earth again, and they are working as Pharisees and Sadducees because that energy has not been cleared, and their energy is playing out. And so I see these same patterns.
And it seems to be, that seems to be a gift from God, the way I understand it, to allow them the opportunity to progress in the eternities that
and to correct the energy.
Right. If you did something bad in the past, we're going to put you in almost the exact same situation again,
right,
to see if you can correct it and get past it this time and progress.
Right.
No.
Right. And also because, for the light to propel forward and advance forward, we use the darkness to help us increase our light energy, because with opposition, we then are able to expand. And so the light and the dark and the contrast of that light and dark is necessary. And so the Lord allows us in the plan. It's actually part of the plan for us as mortals on the planet to be able to progress into the eternities. So
right.
it's pretty fascinating if people could see just on the scientific metaphysical side of what happens with the energy.
It's awesome. All right, Julie, we're running a little long here, but let's recap the projects again. First, we're looking for those with spiritual gifts. Let your voice be heard and realize that you're not crazy. Second,
right,
those with close associations and personal experiences with Chad Daybell. And third, those who have been subjects or victims of religious, spiritual abuse of any kind, any religion.
right.
Lastly, Julie, you have an upcoming class. You were talking about energy work a little bit ago. You have a class coming up. Do you want to just mention that real brief, and then we can finish this thing?
Yeah. So I have a class in St. George this Saturday, and registration for that is closed. So I'm just excited to see everybody who's coming for that. And then on April 18th is my next class. That's in the Phoenix, Arizona area, and we still have seats open for that. So if you want to register for that, you can go to Julie Rowe Prepare, and there is a link there for either a personal session that you can sign up for. I am taking new clients again now. I have openings. For the last 2.5 years, I've been booked out 3 to 4 months. I just looked at my calendar the other night, and I do have openings for April and May. So if you want a personal session, you can go sign up there, or you can sign up for the class. And my whole list of classes, Eric's helped me put all those classes, what you can see we're doing the rest of the year. It's about once a month that I'm traveling. So Phoenix area is in April, and in May is Rexburg, Idaho, which has been of interest to people since it's been in the news.
Right.
I actually booked these classes and paid for all the venues last year before Chad Daybell stuff started.
Yeah, that's right.
God told me where to book my classes. So we'll be clearing a lot of energy in Rexburg come May.
I'm sure. All right. Thanks, Julie. I think that wraps it up.
Okay.
Just remember, folks, feel free to comment. And that email address again is agreatertomorrow2014@gmail.com. And keep those brief. And we look forward to hearing from you. They will be anonymous. We'll hold them in high regard and protect them. And lastly, just remember that evil triumphs when good men are silent. Thanks.
Yes.
We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, you guys. Send in my love.